Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. How's everybody doing tonight? It's night two, y'all. Welcome in, welcome in. Let's see who we got in the room with us. What's up, Crystal? Good to see you. We got Karen. Got Donald in the room is back. Desi, what's up? Kiana, Angela, Mark, Katrina, Stephanie, Daryl. What's up, Daryl? Good to see y'all. Listen, y'all, welcome in to night number two. We're going to get started in just a few minutes. We're going to let the room fill up and then let Nas get situated before we get started. I'm so pumped and excited tonight because this is where we start getting deep with more of an intro. Today is going to be where we actually start taking some action and actually going to be putting some plays. So before we get started, let's go ahead and get our camera. I know we're up. Go ahead and turn your camera on if you can for us, just so we know you're locked in with us. Even if you're doing other things, it's cool to have the camera on just so we can see. We got Karen. What's up, Karen? Thanks for turning on your camera. We appreciate you. Who else we got that's turned on their camera that I give a shout out to? iPhone, I see you're at work. Shout out to you, brother. I don't know who you are, but you're putting in the work. I see you. Zoom user. I don't know who you are as well, but I see you, my brother, with the picture behind you. Well, who else we got here with us? Donald, welcome in. Desi, welcome in. Brian, what's up, Brian? Stephanie, good to see your camera on. Leia, good to see you as well. So y'all, once you have your camera on, go ahead and let me know in the chat if you have a pen and paper. Comment done in the chat if you have a pen and paper for us. Let us know, let us know, let us know. Just so I can see who's showing up. Okay, I love it. So I got another question for you all while we wait for the room. Who in here did their assignment yesterday? Put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat if you did your assignment from yesterday. Remember, success loves speed. We take action fast. Listen, the ones who succeed the most inside the Nasser's mentorship group, the people that he coaches, the ones that win the most and the fastest are the ones that aren't afraid to execute, the ones that aren't afraid to go out there and do the thing. So I see several people say that they did it. So kudos to you all that went and did the assignment. We're giving you assignments each day, just so you all know. So today you're going to get an assignment and tomorrow you're going to get an assignment. So don't fall behind. But listen, this is what I want to do. But while we're getting started, several VIP Nas, welcome in, brother. Good to see you again. We had several VIP kind of pre-submit some questions. So, brother, before we get started with the main teaching today, I know we have a lot to cover. Is it cool if we just go over a few of the basic questions that we got in? Is that cool with you?
Absolutely, let's do it.
All right. So one question that we got submitted said, "Hey, would you recommend us having an LLC as we get started, or do I need a business and a formation formatted for this?"
You do not need or anything. You could just do your first one in your name.
Let's go. Easy enough. You don't have to. Now, as you start more deals, right? You probably want to get an LLC as you do more deals and make more money. But for just starting out, you don't need it.
That's
Correct?
correct.
Awesome. Love it. So that answer, I see several people submitted ones similar. So here's a good question. So you're talking about Nas, you're talking about wholesaling. One question that was submitted was, do I only have to find off-market properties, or can I find properties that are like listed on the MLS filters and stuff?
Ideally off market.
Gotcha. Ideally off market. It is possible for on market, but you'll find the better deals off market, correct?
Correct. Off market and better and they're easier to sell off market as well.
Awesome. Let us know in the chat if this is answering anybody's questions. Let us know in the chat. Here's a good question that was submitted. Somebody says, "I feel like my market is saturated, bro." Number one, can I do this in other cities outside of my own? And number two, how do you know, like, which you may talk about this today, so just let us know, but how do you go about finding a hot market?
Okay, all right. Well, we're gonna get into that today, but you can do this statewide, nationwide. It doesn't have to be local. The majority of my business is not local.
Let's go. That's phenomenal. Anybody live on like maybe the West Coast in Cali, or maybe you live in NYC, Jersey, and you just like, yo, I feel like it's competitive. Market is super high here. that gives you all hope because Nas says most of his deals are not in his own market, so he's doing it virtually. So just put a yes in the chat if you understand that you can do this nationwide. This is phenomenal, y'all. So there was a few other questions that got submitted, but Nas, I know the questions that were submitted you're going to answer tonight. So this is what I want everybody to do. Go ahead and get prepared. Turn off all distractions. We're going to go into night two. So today we're going to really talk about market properties. Lock in. We got about an hour together tonight. And we have more, maybe one other person coming in tonight to share their experience and how wholesales changed their life. But Nas, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to you and let's get started, brother.
All right. First things first, I want to shout out Kelly Gray for doing the homework, Brian D'Angelo for doing the homework, Darrell for doing the homework, Shayla Green for doing the homework, and Donald for doing the homework. Brian, all right, we had about 100 people on the call, but only a few did it. Daryl did it. So I appreciate participating and doing the homework. All right, in order for this to work, guys, I need you guys to be active. Yes, we at 7:34. So let's do a quick recap, right? Quick recap. All right. Now, oh guys, we're going to 9 o'clock tonight, guys. We are going to 9 o'clock. So please keep that in mind that we're gonna be here for a while. I'm giving y'all some games, some applicable game. All right. Um, some applicable games. So this is so please be ready. You're gonna have to take down some stuff and potentially so that you can get, you can get in the game. But anyway, listen, yesterday we went over mindset, most importantly, right? The mindset of what it takes to be successful. What do you have to do to be successful? Get into where you're gonna go. That's what we did, because that's the most important piece. Your mind is your best piece of real estate. All right. If you believe you can't achieve it, then it won't happen. If you believe you can achieve it, then it will happen. If you don't want anything out of life, then you won't do anything in life. Okay. If you don't want anything in life, you won't do anything in life. Okay. So that's just fact. That's just how it goes, unfortunately. So we went over wholesaling, and I know some people said Mario did the homework. I appreciate you. All right, Mario. Somebody said they missed yesterday, so let's recap wholesaling before we go on today. All right, to get into today's lesson. What is wholesaling houses, right? What is wholesaling houses? Wholesaling houses is you find a house in your neighborhood for $40,000. Okay, you find a house in your neighborhood for $40,000 and you wholesale that house. I'm sorry, you get it under contract, right? For $40,000. Let's say you get under contract for $40,000 and you know this house is worth $100,000. Well, then you get under contract, you call up John the cash buyer and say, hey, listen, I have a house at Main Street. Would you be willing, would you like to buy that particular property at 123 Main Street? And that he might say, yeah, let me work it, let me walk it. You like, hey, I'm asking 50,000. Once he walks it, he comes back and say, hey, let's do it. And then he buys the house. And on closing day, he wires 50,000. All right, 50,000 plus um 50,000 plus closing. Okay. So what does that mean? Seller gets 40,000, you get 10,000, he gets the house, everybody's happy. All right. Now, I know some of you are very analytical. So he'll probably put 20,000 into the property. He'll either rent it out or sell it. The reason being, investors want to be 70% all in. Whatever the after repair value is, they want to be 70% all in. Okay, so please always keep that in mind. Please always keep that in mind. All right, so guys, can we drop a one? No, I'm sorry. No, wait. If you do not understand wholesaling, You do not understand wholesale. Let me know now in the chat. Let me know if you don't get it. Appreciate you, Chandra and Kiana, Jermaine. I appreciate you. Karen said, all right. So Karen, all right. Let's say there's an ugly house in your neighborhood. It's boarded up. It has tall grass. It has a hole in the roof. All right. And you skip trace the owner. What does skip tracer mean? Skip tracer means you find their phone number. All right. So you find their phone number online. You give them a call. You say, hey, um, Mr. John Doe, I see you have this property at 123 Main Street. Would you be open to selling it? And um, he says, well, I'm considering because it's a headache. Um, it's a headache. I'd rather get rid of it. I live in San Diego. I inherited the property. I was raised in Charlotte, but I'm never going back. I have a house and family here. So then from there, what you do is you say, wait, so how much you're looking to get out of it? Man, if I can get 40 out of it, it's yours. So you then send him over a contract for $40,000. From you sending him over a contract for $40,000, you now have it under contract. So now what you need is a cash buyer. So you call John the cash buyer up. All right. John the cash buyer up. And um, you say, John, I got this property at 123 Main Street. Are you open to buying it? And he says, you know what? Let me take a look at it. He goes, takes a look at it. He then agrees to buy it. Well, I'm in North Carolina. We use attorneys to close. So being that we use attorneys to close, um, he will then once the title was good, he will then wire in $50,000 plus closing. I repeat, 50,000 plus closing. Seller gets 40, you get 10, everybody goes their way. So that's wholesaling. 70% of the after repair value. All right. After that is the 70% after price. So the house is worth 100. He wants to be 70,000 all in. So he buying it for 50 so he can put 20,000 into it. And 70% of the ARV fixed up. Okay. Guys, 1 second, let me close my door. Sorry, I'm right here, guys. So I close my door. One second. Ooh, sorry. Let me turn my light on. All right, there you go. All right, so where do you find these sellers? Where do you find these sellers? Simon, I'm going to show you that later. You stand at 9 o'clock. I'm going to show you everything you need to know. Where do you find your sellers, right? Your sellers, we're not looking for people who want to sell. We're looking for people who need to sell. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. Would it make sense for me to try to sell a man a bra? Right? It probably wouldn't make sense, but it will make sense for me to try to sell a bra to a woman. All right. So normally those companies, Victoria's Secret, and those companies who offer panties, bras, and things of that nature, they market to Who? Women. They send women magazines and all that. They send women coupons. They do that. That's their target audience. Now, let's say you as a man, you purchase something from there, from your girlfriend, boyfriend, wife, husband. They will email you as well. So now you will be getting marketing because you bought something before. Now you may not act on that marketing and you're not their ideal client, but they put the marketing in your face. And with the marketing, the ones who's that for, they step up and say, listen, yeah, I like this buy one, get one free sale. I am going to pursue. All right. So listen, with marketing, a lot of companies, right, they spend a lot of money trying to get in front of the sellers. So let's look at Domino's Pizza. 70 to 80% of people on this call, they will probably get Domino's pizza advertisements in the mail. And I don't know about you guys, but I try to stay away from that stuff. I haven't ordered Domino's and I don't know how long, but I don't act on it. But every month they send out marketing pieces because their clients calls that number or goes online, type in the coupon code, and they place that order. Okay? So I want you to think about marketing. Marketing is getting in front of your client. All right. Now converting them is them stepping up and saying, hey, I have a problem. Now, in our business, we don't go after people who want to sell. We go after people who need to sell. I repeat, need. Okay? Not want to sell. Now, my house, I'm in. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. I probably owe about 140,000 on my house. My house is probably worth about right now between 380 and 400K in this particular market. All right. 380 to 400K in this market. I'm all in this house about 200,000. That's with me buying it and fixing it up. All right. About 200K. I owe about 140 on the mortgage at this point. Now, remember, the house is worth 400,000. I got 5 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 1,600 square feet. You can see the Bank of America building downtown from my house. All right, let's dissect this. Let's say I'm to go list my house with a realtor for $1 million. I'm not motivated. I want to sell, but I don't need to sell. Okay. Now, let's take the same exact situation. I owe 140. The house is worth $400,000. I'm in foreclosure. I can't pay the mortgage, bro. The the auction started on my property. You come to me and say, bro, the auction starts tomorrow on your house. You might as well sell this property to me and walk away with something. And I might be like, yo, bro, I agree. And you say, hey, listen, I give you 200,000 for it. That means you pay off your mortgage and you walk away with 60,000, and that's a down payment on the new life. And you just start over. And I might say, you know what? I'm gonna do that. And then you get it under contract for $200,000. All right, you get under contract for $200,000. And from you getting under contract for 200,000, you may turn around and sell this to a cash buyer for about 230,000 or 240,000, probably more. But let's say you did 230, then on closing day, the buyer wires in 230, 200. So out of my 200, the mortgage you paid off 140, I get my 60, you get your 30, everybody's happy. Now, I gave you two scenarios. One was when I won $1 million, and then one was I was in need. Bro, I was about to lose my house, so I had to sell it. All right. Simon, yes, you can do this with vacant commercial properties. Now, question. Do we understand that? The example of need versus want. Need versus want. Karen, the foreclosure does not stop. But in North Carolina, once somebody bids on the property, it takes 10 days. There is a process to stop the foreclosure, but it doesn't automatically stop because you have it under contract. You have to close before the auction is over. Charlotte Drink is not hard to go somebody in foreclosure. All right, thank you for participating, guys. All right, so where can we find motivated sellers? Where where can we find motivated sellers? All right. Marketplace groups, not foreclosure.com. That can be one. All right. So, guys, this is going to be your homework, right? Now, check this out. Who knows what code enforcement is, right? Who knows what code enforcement is? Code enforcement, right? Code enforcement is when a property has tall grass, right? The city might send them a letter and tell them, hey, you got 10 days to cut the grass or we coming out there. Now, what does that mean, right? That means that I believe the city of Charlotte, they charge $150 if they gotta come and cut it. So it's gonna be $150 and you get interest on it every day you don't pay. So what do you do? What do you do is you go out there and hopefully you mow the grass, but you go see what's going on with the seller why they're not cutting the grass. Okay. What is another reason for code enforcement to write somebody up and find them? They got broken glass. All right. Some of y'all know the houses that the window broke, but somebody living in there. Nah, you can get written up and start getting fined. They got a hole in the roof. All right, you get written up and start getting fined. Okay, they got a car parked on in the front lawn. You can get written up, and the car in the front lawn can mean that wait, it's a tenant there. Tenant's not taking good care of the property, so the owner might be tired of them and be ready to sell it. All right. So how do you find these people? Look, y'all, look at code. This is what I'm gonna type in. I want you to type in, this is going to be your homework, code enforcement violation list, your city and state. Every city and state will not have this available online. Charlotte does. And I'm showing you some cases where people may be motivated to do something. Oops, sorry guys. So let's say this right here, a complaint, meaning somebody called on them. It's a housing complaint, all right? Field deserver mean that somebody seen them doing it. I'm sorry, somebody worked for the city, wrote it up when they was riding past. So what does that mean, right? So what you would do is you will find the owner to this property, give them hey, listen, are you open to something? Don't mention they on code enforcement. Don't mention that. You say, hey, listen, are you open to call? Fishing in this particular sea, right? Fishing in this particular sea, chances are someone may be motivated, all right? Meaning they don't want to sell, they need to sell because they're getting fined from the city. The tenant is in the property. Sometimes what happens is tenant will rent your property and break stuff inside so they don't have to pay and then call the city on the landlord. That's a game they've been playing forever. So therefore, now that person's on the code enforcement. Now that first person could be a tired landlord. All right. What is another situation of foreclosure? Another situation of foreclosure is, I'm sorry, another situation of motivated sellers foreclosure. They're losing the house. What's another one? Tax foreclosure. This is going to be your homework too. So please be paying attention. Charlotte, North Carolina, tax delinquency. That's what you got to put in. Oops, here it is. Charlotte tax delinquent list. All right, delinquent list, taxpayer list. You see, it's already clicked because I click on it. All right, I want this list. Of course, some of you people would know how to put this right in Excel, but this is the owner name. This is the property where they owe back taxes. So I can go after these. Now, these might be a little bit harder. The reason being, a lot of these people, the city can't find them to let them know, like, yo, you owe back taxes. So chances are it's going to be hard for you to find them as well. But when you do, these be some good deals. Okay. So, all right. Oops. So, with that being said, w- oops. With that being said, guys, we are, this is how you find tax delinquent list. Somebody's losing their house to taxes. Let's say somebody owes 30K in taxes. Yes, there are people in Charlotte who owe 30K. And the city, like, yo, you know what? We tired of you. We got to foreclose. All right. Then they'll start the foreclosure. They'll start the foreclosure. And then what happens next? What happens next after that? Well, what happens next after that is they get um they start the foreclosure and it goes for auction. The person's about to get nothing. You get in front of the person and you say, hey, listen, um, instead of losing this house to tax foreclosure, let me buy the house. And then you work out a deal from there. Okay. Now, Kiana said driving around. Erica said driving for dollars. That works as well. What is driving for dollars? Driving for dollars, when you get into your car, you can do it electronic these days. But when you get into your car and you look for houses that are beat up, toe up on the floor, boarded up, houses with hole in the roofs, houses with the mailbox full, houses that have the sheriff lockout on the thing. So, for example, right, the sheriff lockout. I'm doing an eviction tomorrow. The property is about an hour away, bruh. I gotta meet the sheriff at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. in the morning. That's when I gotta meet him, bruh. So I gotta leave here by 7. Because you can't miss the sheriff. So I gotta leave here by, like, what I mean, hopefully by 6:45 or so I can be there. It's about 50 minutes. So I can be there around 7:50. All right. Now, once I get there around 7:50, okay, or so, what happens next? Then the sheriff, I have my locksmith, he's gonna meet me there. We change the locks, and the sheriff put that yellow thing in there saying no trespassing, because the person's getting evicted. So that's tomorrow. And in Charlotte, they're yellow and red. Well, I think throughout the whole North Carolina, they're yellow and red and they be in the window. In your place, in your city or state, they might be different. And it's, you know what I mean? So that's a great way if you're driving for that. Mark, oh God, Mark, I gotta answer that one. That's a good one, Mark Watson. All right. Does the buyer need to pay those tax liens to get the property? You have to find numbers so the buyer is aware. No, you don't, Mark. Your title company, your attorney does everything. So let's say that all right, I'm gonna tell you a deal I closed today. The person owed about 6,000 in back taxes. I bought the house for 150K. I wholesaled the house for 160. All right, I wholesaled the house for 160. Now, buyer, what happens is there was no mortgage on the house. So at closing, once that money is wired in, the taxes get paid at closing. So now the taxes are made whole. All right. And just so you guys know, right? Like, so you can never wipe out taxes. You got to pay property tax. So that means is worth um if the property is worth $25,000, right? And and they sell it to a new owner without paying the property tax, that new owner owes the property tax, and property tax can still, come through. if a property has a bunch of taxes and you have a mortgage on the property, well, property taxes can wipe out that mortgage, wipe it out by doing the foreclosure, and take the house. Because, as you know, taxes are government, and government has power over everything. That's just the way it is. Not a bad thing, not a good thing, but so just pay your taxes so you don't have those problems. So that's how that would go. But you don't have to find out how much they owe, Mark. That's going to be taking out their money out of closing. How do you take over for someone on delinquent list? I don't. We are buying the houses. Mark, I appreciate you for Mark, I appreciate you, right? I appreciate you for asking that question. Hold on, guys, 1 second. All right, guys, look at my screen. Wholesaling what to do. All right. You all should be in this group. You all should be in this group, right? You all should be in this group. Now, I'm going to show you something. You, oops. Oops. Oh, here you go. You see this right up here at the top? I work a lot on my laptop. I know you young folks do the uh, your phone, but you go to file section. Here, I have the script right here. This is the script right here. If you want the script, that's my script. All right. Let me see if I can just share the link. I can't share the link per se. Let me click on it and see if it'll let me share. But if you go into that group, which you're supposed to be in, you can get my script so you know what to say. Jessica, you must be one of those young people. Because I swear I be getting young people. They be like, that I ain't got it. I ain't got Facebook. And I don't know how to find the file section. Kiana, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I'm gonna have another opportunity for you to get it. All right. I'm gonna have another opportunity for you to get it. Don't worry about that. The last day, I'm gonna give you the contracts on the last day, which is tomorrow. I'm gonna give you that, but I have another situation where you ready to get it. All right. So I your homework for tonight is gonna be, does your city offer the code enforcement list? Now, some of you will have to call the code enforcement department. What does that mean, call the code enforcement department? Well, that means that you're gonna have to Google code enforcement. All right, this is your code enforcement division. I would click on them, I would call it, right? And I would say, hey, is this code enforcement? They're gonna say, yeah, looking for the list of let me see. I'm sorry, do you have the list online? Whereas the people who have tall grass, beat up houses, fire damaged houses, do you have that list online? And they'll walk you through how to get it. They might say, no, they might say you have to come down there, or they might say we don't offer it to the public. If and you say, hey, well, I need if they ask you why you're looking for it, say, hey, oh yeah, well, I got like a handyman services, so I wanted to, repair the houses and of that nature. So this is a code enforcement violation. Looks like they're doing extension to the property that probably wasn't permitted. And as you see, the screening is ripped. This is a fire damaged house. Believe it or not, when the house catches a fire, and then Madeline, did I answer your question? And then, once the house is fire damage, what happens at that particular point is you would reach out to, they get on the code enforcement list. What some people do, some people get the insurance money and fix the house up. Some people get the insurance money and say, hey, Listen, I'll sell his house, so that's how that goes. But that's gonna be your homework. Your other homework, tax delinquent, is that line that taxes off of that. We're in business, right? You can have we put it like this. We all know somebody that can be your parents, that can be your aunt, your cousin, your friend. They make a great hamburger, right? My mother, she used to make the hamburgers from the ground beef, roll them up, season it real good. It used to be awesome, right? Um, Now her burgers used to taste better than McDonald's burgers. However, McDonald's made a lot more money because of marketing. All right. Now, we all know that one person who was a great cook and they opened up a restaurant and it flopped. And within that restaurant, they had an overhead, they had marketing, I'm sorry, they had rent, they had the equipment, um, employees, etc. So that it closed up in 2 to 3 months because they had a heavy overhead and they wasn't making enough money. All right. The food tasting good wasn't enough. You got to have marketing. You have to market. You have to get people into your business. All right. There's this restaurant in Charlotte that I know him personally. One influencers came on his post and went viral locally. That particular year, he said he made like 1.6 million. Right. And of course, when one influencer goes there, right? What happened? Well, three more influencers. So it kept going, it kept going. All right. Now, for the next few years, he did very well in business. Now he's back to just getting by. And I was explaining to him, me and a friend was explaining to the guy, like, well, you haven't been marketing. Nobody's talking about it no more. You got to continue on that marketing play for the traffic and continue in. All right. Marketing is really important. And once you understand marketing, no matter what business you start, all right, no matter what business you start, people will say, "Oh my God, you're so lucky," because they think that everything you touch is successful. My brand, like most of you probably heard about this. Like I didn't pay for any advertising with this. Most of you probably heard from this via text, my email list, or my social media, which is marketing. All right. I had to tell you about it to get you in here. Now, when you're fishing in these ponds, right? If you're looking at my mouse, if I got a fire damaged house, I already got the insurance check. The house is paid off. Um, the house is paid off, right? And with the house being paid off, um, what happens next, right? With the house being paid off? Well, it's a fire damage house. The insurance gave me $190,000 to rebuild the house. I'd rather keep the money and just start over, bro. Hey, the house total loss, give me 30, 40,000. All right. So, all right, Jermaine, we'll get to you, baby. We'll get to you. Somebody said Chinese stores. Notice that Chinese stores normally go to low income neighborhoods. And when they go to low income neighborhoods, what happens? What happens? Well, by default, they get word of mouth. They get word of mouth. If you notice, a lot of immigrant businesses do very well in low income communities. All right. When the Chinese store is in the middle class or upscale community, what happens? They send out marketing in the mail. They will send you marketing pieces for coupons for whatever. You can get a whole platter for, $9. You know what I mean? They send them out. So marketing is important. But when you're in low income neighborhoods, and also just I got the numbers to back me, the low income neighborhoods have a whole bunch of health disparities. So being that they got a whole bunch of health disparities, um, what we eat that bad stuff. So you really don't have to market to us because we just walk in there and get it. Madeline, that's a great question. Madeline said, "What about getting a home that's in foreclosure from them moving out due to domestic violence, but other spouse doesn't want to sign off so house can be sold? Then you can't sell it. It's just got to go to foreclosure, and the person who buy it at the go buy it at the auction, they'll get a clean title. You need that other signature. Unfortunately, that happens a lot, Madeline. Whereas the spouse, like, I'd rather this house go to foreclosure than me or that person get some money. I'll go without. And some of these houses, Madeline, you're gonna see they have $200,000 worth of equity. You like, nah. It's better to start off with the money. And sometimes the guy is like, hey, I'm not signing off on that. So she can take 100K and go spend it on some young guy. Sometimes he might be like, yo, I'm not taking that. And then he go get some young woman. You're here that a lot in business. Um, she said, yes, that's what happened. Oh, it happens a lot. Divorce, foreclosure, they get messy. You know, the person be holding out. I Man, it was a property down the street from me where I live at now. Back in the day, man, we had it sold, and the wife wouldn't sign off on it. The wife would not sign off on it. She had an attitude, and she let it go into foreclosure. Boy, was I sick. Today, that dirt is worth $250,000. I knew that. I knew it was never mind. Anyway, they were going to foreclosure for 30K back in the day, but it was hood. It was probably worth back in the day when I was trying to get it. But today the dirt is worth 250. Brian, I don't buy at the auction. If you go to any major city in America right now, them houses at the auction will not be cheap. And you have for buying at the auction because you want to make sure you're buying a house and not the second mortgage. How do you know how much you can go over that? We're gonna go over that a little bit in this call. Probably try to cover it tomorrow. Oh no, let's let's go. So, motivated sellers and the value. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is don't. This is the website is duruleads.com is my affiliate link. If you sign up with my link, you'll get 7 days free trial and I believe like 50 free skips. Okay, let's do a property search. All right, let's do a house that I own. Let me see. Let me see if this is the address. What city is that? I gotta go there tomorrow. Guys, you gotta be. What I was saying was you gotta be careful at the auction. Meaning that you could go down there and buy a second mortgage. And you don't want to buy no second mortgage because if you go down there and buy a second mortgage, the first mortgage could foreclose on you. You gotta know what you're doing down there. Let me see if I can get this pulled up. But this is a house that I own. All right, now let's pull it up. There, I will go to comps. All right, so now I'm at comps. All right, so what I will then do is oh God, zero comps. I wonder what's going on here. Let me refresh. All right, so they have no sales. I don't know what's going on there, but let's check this. All right, so what we would do is, right, this is the freeway. Um, what we would do. Now let me start with Zillow, please. Because a lot of people get confused with this estimate. I don't want to have confused with this estimate. This is all I pay attention to. Sold, 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 sold. All right, comparable homes. Comparable homes. All right. So look at the square footage, 2,300 square feet, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,300 square feet. This is the house I gotta go do the lockout on tomorrow. Now, these are my sales. I'm all in about this is what I paid for the house. I paid this for the house. The house is moving condition if the guy didn't mess it up. I'll get there tomorrow to find out. Now, this is I would use this comp of $365,000. The house was worth when I first got it in the beginning of the year, they was going for 375 easy, 375 easy, but the market went down some. All right. So I would say this house is worth 365. Yeah, they got a 370 sale, but I would compare it to this. But realistically, I'm probably looking at about 365 right now. Do not pay attention to this estimate. Do not pay attention to this estimate. Right now, you're not getting 400K over there. The prices are going down. All right. Hey, Tucker. Tucker. All right. 1 second. Hey, Vanessa, I have my guest, Tyler White. Can you bring Tyler White up? And he's gonna share his screen. So make him a co-host. He's gonna break down this and comps down. My man. All right. Tyler White.
Hey guys.
Hey, Tyler. Okay. So, guys, Tyler's gonna break down his software. He's gonna show us how to comp in detail. He did explain that being that that property was new construction and the assessor didn't have it yet, right? The assessor didn't have it yet, which this is a long story, but I bought the house in January or February, and January, I believe, and closed on it in January. The house was built 6 months prior. All right. I told the guy to go to a realtor. I might not be the best fit. And then I bought the house, and he tried to turn around and say, hey, I never sold these guys a house. They stole my house. And finally, I went to court, and we finally got our day in court, and the judge ruled in my favor. We're doing an eviction, a lockout tomorrow, and I don't know what condition this property is going to be in. And I still can't sell it because there's another lawsuit that's got to get thrown out before I can sell this property. So it's been a mess, but it's part of the game. But hey, Tyler, um,
Yes.
Tyler's our special guest. Tyler works with Connected Investors. Tyler gave me this
Yes.
awesome tool. This tool, once you look for buyers in this automatically gives you people who bought the last 6 months. Comps. They have comps. They give you multiple comps. You can remove comps easily. It's really easy to figure out, all right, what you need to remove and what can stay. All right. It gives phone numbers. Like it just give you the damn phone number, okay, to the seller. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let Tyler. Now, all these people are mostly new, Tyler. So, being that they're
Yeah.
mostly new, I want you to, break it down like a newbie. If you can do like two comps. Someone asked to comp something in Charlotte, 4613 Willard. Once you get
Yeah,
to
I saw
the
that one. I'll pull that one up for sure. And
yeah,
the what I'm going to try to do is I'll try to talk through kind of the process. Feel free to ask questions throughout the whole thing. Again, the idea is that we want to give you guys an idea of what the system's capable of doing to make things easier in terms of finding deals. The best way to break it down is Connected Investors helps you find leads that could be motivated sellers or cash buyers, right? So first and foremost, that's what it does. Then it helps you create engagement with those leads that you created. So you're going to either be getting their contact information, phone numbers, email addresses. Then you have research, right? You need to be able to, now that you have your leads, you've contacted properties, they call you back, or you contact a cash buyer, you want to be able to talk to them. It gives you data to be able to make an analysis, understand what's going on, conduct your research, run comps, determine value. And then we also have a funding aspect of the product of where if you need a private or hard money loan, we have an application process that you could fill out and it will get you connected with up to 3 lenders that will make you an offer. They're eager to do business. And so you come in and we want to make sure you get a competitive offer, which is why we don't give you just one company. We want you to have at least 3. And that way you can put them against each other. You can, get the type of kind of negotiation that you want as it relates to it. But those 4 principles of service, lead gen, engagement, research, and funding is really what Connected Investors is centered around. So feel free to ask any questions, stop me at any moment to go into something in more detail, but I'm just going to walk through it from start to finish of just going through those 4 steps and helping you answer and see what's there and understand. And we'll go through a comping process and let you guys can see it. But it's all here, and just know you don't have to try to memorize it all, right? That's what Nasser's here for. If you have questions, reach out to him. That's why this community is here. If you have questions related to our product, feel free to reach out to our customer support. We're here to help you guys. All right.
all right, yeah.
So just
Tyler, 1 second. Yeah, you just share your screen and do what you
yep.
need to do. Guys, now this is Connected Investors. They're new on the scene, but they have a really great product. My link is duruleads.com. You will get a 7-day free trial and you'll get 50 free I believe it's 50 free skips or so with my link, duruleads.com. But I'm gonna give you that at the end. Just let Tyler show you what this thing can do.
Also, when you actually end up signing up with Nasser's link, you'll also get 2,500 skip traces free a month. So you'll get not just the, access to the product, but every month you'll get 2,500 free skip traces. If you go to the Connect Investor site directly, you'd only get 500. So we give Nasser a little bit of a extra bonus on that in terms of the amount of skip traces that you get each month. And again, skip tracing, if you're not familiar with the term, that's the ability to get a property owner's contact info. So phone numbers and email addresses. So Nasser, if you see questions pop up and you want to stop me, feel free to just, cut me off. I don't care. All right.
All right.
Can you guys
Yeah.
all see my screen? Just making sure you guys can see it. The whole product, just so you guys know, is centered around an investor's business. So when you come in and you run a search, whether it's a zip code, a city, a county, a metropolitan area, or a state, we first focus every result on motivated to sell. And the reason why is because we know that you're here to find properties to buy. So we want to look at motivation. Now, when you think about motivation, you're wondering, like, what is motivation? We give you all these filters and we focus on all of them to start with, right? So the fact that they're in pre-foreclosure, the fact that it's got an auction, the fact that it's a zombie property, a property lien, a personal lien, a tax delinquency, those are all distress components. What that means is that there is something, a financial problem of why they're having that reason to sell. We also have non-distressed reasons, like a vacant property. Just because it's vacant doesn't mean it has to sell. This could be an investor who's owned the property for a while. They're tenants. They're trying to rebuild. It could be they just bought it. All these different reasons of why it could be vacant. It could be a billionaire who's got 14 properties, and this is just one of them that just happens to be empty. You never know. But all of these are reasons that people build lists because their motivations is selling. You got your expired listings, your tired landlords, your senior owners, your out of state owners. They're all reasons of why people will sell. And when you render this data with the filters of what you're targeting, so single family, you'll notice as I apply the filters, the count lowers. So real time, we're actually identifying what matches the criteria of what you're looking for. So I'm looking in a single zip code right now, but if I wanted to, I could expand it to a city, a county, a metro, or a state. I've applied the fact that I want these properties to all be individual owners. So I don't want any corporations. I don't want any bank-owned properties. You will never get a property bought from a bank unless it's listed for sale. If you go and try to find properties that banks own and you find one property that they have and you want to buy that one, you'll never get that opportunity. You'll actually have to wait till they put it on market, or you could go to them and say, hey, I've got $10 million. Give me a portfolio, and they will sell you a portfolio of properties for 10 million, but you don't get to pick and choose which ones you want. You get some good ones, you get some bad ones. So that's kind of how bank owned works. But I want to target just individual people. So I'm individual owned. That means that only one person owns it. Multi-related means that it's a couple. So there's two owners on the property and they have the same last name. It could be brother and sister. We just know they have the same last name. So that's why we say related. And then multi-non-related. That means there's two owners, but they have different last names. They could be, new age, not carrying the last name. You never know. But they don't have the same last name. And then I get my results down to 5,997. If I still feel that's too much, I can add in additional things. Like let's just say in this area, I want anything that is under $1 million. I'm now down to 819. If I feel that's a good list, I view those results. It runs the count, narrows it down, and shows you the data. Now, one of the biggest things I want to point out is we have this thing called the buyability score. The buyability score gives you a perspective of how motivated something is based on all the things going on. If you've ever heard of the term list stacking, it's where you buy a list of vacant properties, you buy a list of pre-foreclosures, you buy a list of absentee owners. And once you have those lists, you combine them together to find which property owners are on multiple lists. And that tells you like, oh, I want to target them more. Our buyability score does that for you. So we take everything of what's going on and cram it into the score to say, hey, if it's over 100, it's got a high likelihood. But now that you look at it, I've got ones that are not exactly 100. Doesn't mean they're not motivated. They're not as motivated. They've got stuff going on. So this is a property lien. It's a senior owner and they have high equity. So that's got some motivation to it because it's a senior owner. They've owned the home for a long time. They're elderly. They've got high equity and there's a property lien on it. The ones up here, if you look at it, I've got one that's vacant property, non-owner occupied, and it's a tired landlord, and it's free and clear. So that's more things going on that stack that higher to be more motivated. So when I generate my list, I know where to start with first because you want to get the fastest ROI. So you're going to go and you can easily mail to all of them at one time, right? You could just take them off, print them out, send out all the postcards. They all get them at the same time because it all goes through the same US Postal Service. But you can't call them all one at a time. You can't follow up. You can't call them all at the same time. You can't follow up with them all at the same time. So which ones should you put more effort toward? The ones that have the high score or the ones that have the low score? And with our system, you'll be able to kind of see that and identify those scores, right? So I'm looking at filters right now of motivated to sell and off market, right? These are the filters. And I'm looking at single family and I'm looking at owner occupied, owners that are individuals and estimated value under $1 million. But let's say I really want pre-foreclosures. I can apply that and I get one record. So many people put so many filters in and they end up with only one record. But if I say, okay, I want pre-foreclosures or auctions, still only one. I want vacant properties, climbs up to 5. I want tired landlords, it goes up to 104. I want senior owners, 123. So you see, as I'm applying this, it's increasing the records because it's adding them as give me that or this. So now you're getting both of like all the situations that matter of what you're trying to target. And then one of the really cool things that we have is because we are a licensed brokerage, we to the MLS, it's updated daily. We have the ability to turn on market properties. So I'm now looking at those properties that have those motivations that are actively for sale. I can contact the agent, and now I have some negotiation leverage, but keep in mind, they don't have to accept my offer. There's going to be other offers because they're actively on market. They're getting visibility. But if I wanted off market, meaning that these are not advertised, now if I can just negotiate a good deal, I don't really have to compete against anybody. That's what the system is about with lead generation. You're coming in and you're finding the lead that's motivated to sell. You're targeting a scenario, a situation, and you're building that list of properties. So I'm going to take this list of 123 properties. I took it from 819 down to 123. I'm now going to save these properties to a list, right? So I'm basically building my marketing campaign. I'm going to just call this 92708. Let's just say motivated less than 1 million. Save. And now I've got that list built. I can keep searching. I don't have to go directly to that list. I could just keep building more and more lists. And then when I'm done, I can, then go look at it. Or I could jump to that list and now look at that data. So now that I'm looking at that data, I have it all in a table form. I can look at it all. I can sort it all. I can change the fields that I actually want to see in the order of how those fields look and move them all around and that kind of stuff. There might be fields of information you care more about and want them up front. You can easily move them around by dragging and dropping, which is great. So you just simply click and you can drag it anywhere you want it to be. But you get access to all of that data. And then let's just say I wanted to skip trace the list. I could skip trace a single property just by clicking the button. It'll run, give it a quick second. It'll populate when it finishes. Sometimes it goes a little slow on Zoom, but actually this one, it says not found. This is a bug I found today. The result actually did populate because if I come across, so we didn't have the contact information for owner one, which is Ashley Beck. There's no phone or no email, but we did have Joseph Beck. And here's his phone number and here's his email. So now I have contact information to reach out to that owner and say, hey, I'd love to buy your property. And you can contact him any way that you need to. We give you the phone number. You can make cold calls. You can do texting. You can do ringless voicemail. Just make sure you follow the DNC or TCPA laws, depending on how you're marketing and what your marketing strategy is. I don't know if you have agents on the line. Agents need to follow the DNC. I'm not an attorney. Please contact your legal department or whatever to make those decisions. But if I wanted to then skip trace this whole list, all I have to do is hit skip trace. The entire list is now being ran. And in real time, what ends up happening is all of those spots where we showed in progress will start to populate and fill. And they'll either say found or not found, depending on if the data renders, right? And so as that runs, give that a second. Maybe I'll hit refresh to see if it goes a little faster. So it's in progress and it's just processing those records through. And when it's found, you'll see that data start populating. And again, we're doing 123 records. So typically that might take 30 seconds for us to get 123 records, check to see if we have their contact info. And the big thing that we do that nobody else does is if when you skip trace a property, if there's two owners, one request equals both owners. So if we have both owners, we're going to give them to you. If we only have one, we're going to give you one, but it's one request. And we give you as much as we can as it relates to that property. Any questions so far? I know that I don't think anybody can speak up, but I didn't know if there was anything in the chat.
If you have a question, please type it in the chat.
Yeah, feel free anytime, interrupt. You don't have to worry. I'm happy to go back and cover anything. But basically what we just covered now was finding your leads, running a skip trace, and now I'm marketing, right? So I'm just kind of contacting the people that I just engaged the list on. Once those people call you, this is the thing that I always have a lot of people debate on is, do you do your research first before you market, or do you market and then do your research? Nasser, I don't know if you have any preference to this, but mine is market first. When they call you, determine if you buy it or not. If you do all your research up front, it's like you don't know if you have the opportunity to buy.
I tell my students the same thing. Like, talk to the seller first. Market to them. Get them on the phone first.
Exactly. So the more that you put into the effort of trying to find leads and market to them, just do the research as finding the situations that actually respond. Like contact the vacants, contact the pre-foreclosures, contact the absentee owners, like all those kinds of things that work for you. get them to call you, and then you could decide. Like, you can always say, nah, I'm not interested, or you could send it off to somebody else, or you could say, yeah, I got a buddy that might be able to buy that, but I'm not. You could always find a way to make a deal work, even if it's not for you. And that's what I love about wholesaling. That's what I love about real estate, is it doesn't have to be your deal. You can do the connection to others and get still paid. That is a big part of real estate investing. So I got my list, I created the outline, I got all the data, I figured out what I wanted to target. And remember when I was talking about the buyability score and making sure that I'm looking at it from highest to lowest? I'm just going to toggle this around. Let's go in and do highest to lowest. So remember, I was talking about the most motivated are the ones that you want to put more effort into, right? And that could be even down to the lower ones that are like 75. Maybe that score of 75 is still a motivation based on what it is. But after you've marketed to them, let's say you get a phone call. Let's say this person's the one calling you. You pull up the property record. You're now looking at that property. I've got all the information about this property. This property's been owned for a very long time. And when I say that is because we actually don't have a length of ownership on here. And what that means is that person has owned it longer than we've been collecting data. And that's over 30 years. So they've owned it for longer than 30 years. I'm working on a way to where we'll showcase this is greater than 30 years. But right now it's blank because we don't have a deed that shows this property ever sold. If we go into mortgage and sales history, you'll see that there's a mortgage, but there's no sale. This was a non-arm's length transfer. So this is a transfer from, Diane to Diana S. Like the name is this, they transferred to themselves, and it was an interfamily transfer and dissolution. So we have that documentation that you could see that recorded document. You could see the mortgages that they took out while owning this property, right? And I can look to see, do they currently have an open mortgage? They have one open mortgage. They have about $92,000 left on it. Their estimated monthly payment is around $571. So I can see that loan they took out for $129,000 with One West Bank is around a 3.3% interest rate. The loan is due in June of 2043. Their current estimated payment. So now I have information to talk to them about, right? If I wanted to look at, see, this property's in pre-foreclosure. Okay, I can see it's in pre-foreclosure. Let's look at when that pre-foreclosure occurred. Notice of default was issued October 24th, 2024. I can talk to them now about their pre-foreclosure. Hey, I understand you're facing foreclosure. Have you taken care of that? Have you talked to your bank? Have you worked anything out? Have you tried? Like, maybe I could be your alternative of getting able to sell the property and keep you in it. And that way you could find some other place to live and just pay me rent. What rent can you afford? And now you have a tenant that's living in it that you don't have to worry about having to evict and do all that kind of stuff with. Because you could just buy the property from them before they go to foreclosure. Because keep this in mind too, when you're dealing with foreclosures, which a lot of people go after, it is the property owner's decision to sell the property up until the day of the auction. When the auction takes place, the bank is trying to sell it public auction. If the property is sold at public auction, it's sold to somebody else and they now have it. If nobody buys it at public auction, the bank has possession of it, and now you can talk to the bank about buying that property. If that owner has walked away and they're gone and you can't find them and the bank still hasn't foreclosed on it, you can't buy it. Literally, the bank cannot do anything until they foreclose on it, because that deed is the requirement in order for them to have possession of being able to do anything. That's why it's always good to do title, because that way you can run and make sure the ownership is there and ensure that you actually have rights to ownership to that property. That's what title insurance is for. But I can now see all this information. I could see the foreclosure of when it took place. I could see the loan that was defaulted on. Now, we were talking about MLS information. This property was listed for sale. I can now see it on October 5th, 2015. They listed it for $599,000. It failed to sell. It got expired. So now I have one more thing to be able to talk to that owner about, because it's not just the fact that they're in foreclosure, it's the fact that they tried to sell it and they couldn't. So these are the things that kind of build that value of what's going on. And I can also, because it was listed, let's see if they actually have access to the photos. Oh, look at that. I can look at all the photos that were part of the listing when they tried to sell the property. It doesn't look like much, but these were the photos that they showcased to try to sell the property. Now, this might have been because they didn't want to show the inside. They just wanted to show the outside. You never know. You could even look at the description that the agent wrote to kind of read what it was that they said. But that's it. That's all you get. It's whatever the agent put on the MLS is what you get access to. Owner information. Again, we were here, we looked at all that info, we ran a skip trace on that whole list. Remember, we got all that contact information. I'm looking at it all right here now. I can see all the phone numbers, I can see the email addresses, I can access all that information and make my calls and talk to them. If I wanted to make notes on this property, let's say the owner contacted me, so I could just put Diana contacted me to discuss property and left message. Add a note. I can now keep track of what I'm doing with this property and where I'm at. Now I can change the status of this property from contact attempted to contact made, right? So I've established communication, like something has happened. I can make this property rated of like, I want to say it's 5 star because I really want this property. There might be somebody that I talk to where it's like, maybe it's a 2 star, right? Like it just depends on what it is that is your motivating factor to help you identify which leads you should really follow up with versus the leads that you don't really need to. And it's okay if like you haven't gotten to it for a while, but the ones you really want, stay on top of. It's always about like, don't let leads fall behind because you are literally trying to make sure that you're successful with it. We have calculations. So like this property right here, we don't have a sale price of when they bought the property, how much they paid for it when they bought it, because they've owned it for over 30 years. But the property's got an estimated value of around 951,000 based on comps and things that have sold nearby. I might want to double check that by running my own comps based on if I can get condition of what the property is inside. I can now run comps of what's actually selling for what it looks like today. I could also look at what's the ARV of properties running comps. But connected investors comps is a game changer. And the reason why is because if you think about running comps, it's an art form. And Nasser, you'll agree to this, that you really have to analyze your property information of the bedroom count, the bathroom count, the stories, the distance, the time frame of when it sold. Like all of those things go into identifying if it's a comp or not, right? And so we do all that for you. Like when we have our auto comp feature that renders these comps automatically, these comps are produced the top 10 comps based on all the characteristics, based on the distance, based on when it sold. And all that goes into the score to say these are the top 10 comps based on our whole scoring algorithm automatically. So AI is used to produce the best properties to look at first. We still give you additional comps down below up to the 40 next lowest numbers, right? So we take it all in that chronological order and we allow that to still be seen. But these are the ones you want to pay attention to. And we highlight to you the changes and differences of like, hey, this is one more bathroom or one less bathroom than what this subject property is. This is equal to that bedroom or that bathroom count, right? You could see the plus. This is 10% more square footage than than the subject property square footage. I now can gauge which properties I feel are the best comps, even when this came out telling me these are the best comps. But with that calculation and these properties, this is the value that we're getting based on those properties. Based on what these are selling for on an average price per square foot, this property is actually selling for around $1 million. I could also go in and apply a little bit more. So let's do this. Like, let's go and let's say I wanted to find the ARV. Let's say this property was really run down and I needed to establish an ARV. It's super fast where all I have to do is go sort by sold price, highest to lowest. I'm now going to come in here. I'm going to remove the top. Let's just say, let's get it down to 3. I'm now looking at the top 3 highest selling properties, right? The top 3 highest selling properties, this property's ARV is 1.1 million. Now, what I can do to ensure this is a good deal, or if I wanted to wholesale this, check this out. I'm coming down to our calculators, and I can go into an MAO calculator if I'm doing wholesaling, or a flip if I'm going to flip it. If I want to do an MAO, I'm going to come in and this value that I just created. Oh, it's not letting me copy and paste it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to write this down so I don't miss it. So we got 1,195,738. That's a bug that shouldn't be there. But you want to copy that value, plug it in here, because I now created an ARV, not just using the estimated value. I'm using a true evaluated ARV. I know the subject property square footage. I can now determine what's the repair cost on this. Is this going to be minor repair where it's about $25 a square foot? Is it moderate repair? Is it major repair? Maybe it's $30 a square foot based on my guesstimate. Maybe it's only $30,000. But I plug in those numbers. I then identify, hey, I want to make at least 10 grand on this thing as a wholesale deal, right? So I'm just going to plug in 10 grand. And the investors that I'm typically dealing with are working on let's just say an 80% profit margin, right? That's what they need to have. So if I plug this in, I now know I need to get at minimum the contract under for $926,000. Like that's my max offer to the homeowner, $926,590. I'm going to then find an investor who will buy this property from me for $936,000. So I can make my 10 grand. That's what my assignment fee is. If I want to add more, I can add more. It just plays with the numbers. But now I'm telling the investor, hey, you buy this property for me for $936,000, you put 30 grand into it, your ARV is going to be this value. You now have a profit of $229,000. Do the deal with me. I didn't have to go try to figure all this stuff out and pull Excel and do all this stuff. I literally just plugged in a couple numbers and I'm done. And now I can save this calculation as, let's just do this as that 10K MAO save. And so when I want to come back to it, it's right here. I don't lose my numbers and I don't have a spreadsheet somewhere else, or I don't have a notepad somewhere else. It's on the property. If I want to go to the property, take photos, I can upload those photos and now I have them on the property. So I have everything I need all in this one place to be able to do everything that's needed. I can make notes, I can run calculations, I can do document uploads, photo uploads, all that good stuff. I can do all these kinds of things and I get all my deals done. And again, I found the deal. I marketed to the property owner. They contacted me. I did my research. I ran my numbers. It's a good deal. We get everything signed, sealed, and done. Boom. Closed one. Change status. Continue. Beautiful. So it's now closed one. And so I've now got a deal done. And I worked through that whole process of finding the lead, contacting the owner, conducting the research, and buying the property. If I needed funding for this property, I could click the get funding button, identify how much I need to borrow because I don't know how much money you have in your pocket. And once you have that, you fill out a couple questions. We connect you to, like I said, up to 3 private lenders, private hard money lenders. So it's super easy to do all that stuff in one system. And then let's just say I did this deal and I got it under contract and I didn't buy the property. I just got it under contract. And now I need a buyer for this property. I got to find cash buyers button, one click, and check this out. I've got all the buyers that would buy this property that have paid cash for the similar property around the similar price range in the last 6 months. So they would buy again. These are all investors buying properties. These are not people bought their home as a primary residence. This is all about investors that have paid cash for properties. And now I have my list of cash buyers. If I wanted to create it even bigger, I could do that. I could just say, instead of that one zip code, maybe I want to do an entire city, right? So I'm just going to expand it from the zip code to a city. And now I've got the whole city. And I'm looking at all the buyers that have paid cash in the last 6 months for a single family home in that property or in that area. So I got single family. I can plug in, let's say, a year. So they paid cash in the last year. I can put in the purchase price. Let's just say average purchase, let's say, is within 500,000 to $1 million. And I can now narrow down those buyers. And the really good thing about our buyer list, so once I get my list of cash buyers and I save them, they are 100% separate than properties. And the reason why is all of our competitors, let's do this. All right, buyers. I think I already saved a list like that. New, save. All of our competitors are property centric. Oop, let me go here. Their properties are our competitors are property centric, meaning that when a property ownership changes, the data on that property changes. So if you built a list of cash buyers in one of our competitors, if that cash buyer now sells the property, all that data is gone because they have to update it to the next owner because they want to make sure it's now the new owner's information. With us, when you build a cash buyers list, they're literally the buyers themselves and they never change. It looks like my list didn't save, so that's an error on our end. I don't want to keep going because I know that time is of the essence. But you're building your list of buyers. You can get a list of them. You can get their contact information. But then in your list, the biggest part about it, I wish it would show it. Oh, we have owner details. I can now look at this cash buyer and look at all the properties they currently own. Look at what their average purchase price is of cash, as well as their total. Like if they ever financed deals too, what's their average purchase price on just total deals? What's their average purchase price on just cash deals? They may pay less for cash, but they may finance more, right? So it gives you ability to look and see what they do. Not everybody's a cash buyer on every single deal. Every deal is unique. I can see where those properties are located. I can come down further and I can see like when those transactions occurred. I can look at the history over the last 6 months and I can see, okay, they bought this property here, they bought this property here, and these are when those properties were bought. So they bought one on April 14th and they bought one on February 14th, and these are the purchase prices they bought them for. So I'm getting all of that data to now rate this cash buyer. Still not letting me save it. I don't know why. Okay, there we go. Continue. So I'm going to make this contact made. And then let's go back to my lists. Now I should have a buyer in there. Beautiful. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Oh, come on. Something's going on. I'm going to have to get my dev involved. I apologize. I know it's there because I could see it. It's just not showing the data. We have different data fields that we show for cash buyers because there's no bedroom count. There's no bathroom count. What we want you to see for that buyer is who the buyer is. You can rate them in terms of how big of a buyer they are. We want you to rate them, not us, because it's your determination. Are they a whale? Are they like a mom and pop investor? Like that way you know who to target more of and how to target them and how to communicate with them. And that becomes your Rolodex. So now when you come in and you have your list, you could actually come into a list, even if they're properties. I'll show you a property one just to begin with. You can apply filters to now target what it is you want to see. So picture I've got a list of cash buyers, and now I want to look at the ones that I've actually confirmed as cash buyers that want to work with me. I can simply come in and narrow it down to the properties that are in that scenario and look at only those property or only those buyers that match that criteria. I would just use those filters to narrow it down. We offer the same kind of filters in the buyer list as we do the properties because you're working them through the status or you're working through the marketing status, I guess the best way to describe it. And the filters that are in there, you can identify cash buyer, finance buyer, individual buyer versus corporation buyer. All those different kinds of things are filters that you could apply to narrow things down. Like all the filters that you see in our filters up here for our cash buyers are all filters that you get to filter inside your list once you have your list of buyers. Okay. The other aspect of this product is as you continue to build lists and save properties, one of the biggest features that we offer that a lot of the other companies don't kind of do is I'm going to come in and run a search in an area that I've already saved some properties. I don't want to keep getting the same properties rendered in my result. So we have this ability to hide properties that I've already saved to lists. So I don't keep seeing them and keep saving them in multiple lists. If you don't know how to list stack, don't not select this. That's a double negative, but make sure this is selected so that way you're not building lists if you don't know how to list stack. Like you want to make sure that every single list you build is a unique buyer that you're going to uniquely market to. And that way you don't get the same person in multiple lists that you send 15 letters in one day to because you didn't realize they were on the same list 15 times. Okay. So we have that feature of being able to hide your previously added records. And so I have filters on here that I now am going to change. And if I apply failed listings, I now have 37 properties that I didn't save yet. I can continue to grow my list and find new properties that I've never marketed to and make sure I'm always targeting new people. So I'm going to pause here. And if there's questions about doing a specific scenario, I think I saw in the chat a specific property. It was the one in, I don't want
Charlotte
you to
and
think it's in Charlotte,
the
right? Yeah.
6
4613 Willard, right?
Yep, Willow Street. All right, Karen.
Beautiful.
If you're wholesaling, you won't need a loan. It's just that the platform offers that to flippers and all types of investors. So eventually, what I tell
Right.
my students, once you put up 20, 30, 40K and you want to start flipping houses or buy a rental and you want a loan, because as wholesalers, we come across some great deals. There will be a time in your career where you come across a deal that's worth 300, and here it is, you can get it for 100 and put 30,000 into it. And you're like, man, I'm keeping this thing because it rents
Okay.
out for 20 a month. So if you have that scenario, he has somebody that you could just go through here to get your loan.
So these are some of the things that you can encounter of where if the county tax assessor doesn't have that address. So this property I'm searching, oh, I'm in cash buyers, duh. Yeah, but make sure you're in the right section when you're searching for a property. You can only search for properties in properties. Cash buyers won't actually find an address. So if I do 4613 Willard and it was street and oh yeah, okay, I was right. So it's not there. But what I can do is I can go in and identify this property just by grabbing 2828. Let's do it like this. So 280 28208 28208. So I'm going to grab that zip code. And this is kind of where you sometimes, like, you don't always end up at a dead end. There's always ways around it, right? And so I'm just going to pull up this zip code, give it a second. Sometimes it runs a little slow when it's on Zoom. Come on. I hope my internet didn't slow down. I apologize because I'm also working from home. So my internet could be, oh, there it goes. Okay. So I'm pulling up that zip code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a map display. So satellite view. I'm going to go to the same satellite view here. And what I'm doing is I'm just geolocating this property based on the map. So I see Freedom Drive and I see the 85. And so if I come in here and I look and I see, let's see, is that the 27? Yep, Freedom Drive and the 85. So I know I'm in the right area. This property's up here off Willard Street. If I go find Willard. So let's see here, east, 85, Willard should be right around here. Let's see. So it's up right at the tip of these types of properties. So that's right here. There we go. And so as you can see, I'm just identifying the location of where that property is located. And I can see that it's sitting right here. It's got a white car in front. This doesn't give me the best view on top, but I have a feeling it's this property right here. And so if I click that, the same one? Nope. But is it the same property? 4617, 4619. Because, yeah, 4613 doesn't make sense to be here because you have 9, 17, 13 would be down here. And so let's just see. This jumps to 15, 11. So there is technically no recognized address of 4613 Willard Street with the tax assessor. But based on Google's geo coordinates, it's this house right here. That house is this one right here. So if I open this property up, I can now look at that data and see that property information. And I can run comps on this. I don't know if the person's on the screen, if they can confirm that this is the same property based on the MLS information of the property being for sale. But if I can access, let's see if there was a photo. I
Hey,
think it would show.
Tyler, that does happen sometime. Sometimes the city assessor doesn't have that as the address. They have a different
Correct.
address and Google have another address. So this is a
Yeah,
common.
because keep in mind, there's a difference between county recognized addresses, right? This is what the county like identifies the property as. They actually don't really care about the actual address of the property. They care about the APN number. That's the social security number for the property. That's why you're going to find properties that have the same address and they really don't change them because they're not the ones delivering the mail. They don't care. The only things the county tax assessor cares about is the name of the owner, the APN, the mailing address for the owner so they can send them the tax bill. That's really it. And they don't really care about anything else. They don't care about the characteristics. If they get it, great, but they're not going to go chase them down if they miss the bedroom count. They're not going to go say, "Oh, you didn't give us the bedrooms. What are the bedrooms?" So you got to just be aware of that kind of stuff. This is public record data. But we do have the MLS information that ties into it. So we matched it on an APN number. So that's how that got matched. And now we have the record of that property being trying to be sold. So this property was listed. It sold 127,000 back on November 24th, 2020. And if I wanted to run comps on it, this property also sold in 2022 for 219,000. And this is the public record recording, right? So this is the sale that maybe never ended up on the MLS. MLS only shows what listed through the MLS. Public record is 100% of all sales. Keep that in mind too. But running comps on this, I'm now looking at this property with all of the different comps that match, and I'm looking at my scores, and I've got the top 10 comps. So this property's got an ARV of around, or not area, this is the estimated value based on these 10 comps, but I might want to eliminate some of them based on the type of scenario it is. So maybe this one's too far away, or maybe this one is sold too long ago because this sale was uh, 2024, so October 2024. Maybe I don't want those. I could take those out. I can narrow it down to anything that I want that matches that criteria. I could also come up and do my filters and say, show me only the properties that are listed in the or that sold in the last 6 months that are within a half mile and are within 30% of the subject property. Save. It's now going to render just those properties. So remember, our auto comp gave me 50 of the top comps. I now am applying very specific filters to narrow that down to exactly what I want. But the reason why I want to show you this and really highlight it is any company that you go to that you have definitive values that you're entering for comps, when you put in 12 months or 6 months or half mile, what if that property was 0.01 miles beyond that half mile radius? What if that sale was 1 day beyond that 1 year or 6 months? What if that property was 1 square footage above that 30% that you put in that range? If you don't know to expand it, you're not going to get that result. And you're not going to think, oh, what if I expand it? What if I keep expanding it? What if I expand it? At what point is it like too much, right? So we're doing that in our auto comp for you. And right now, I've got all the properties that are the top 10 comps based on those filters I applied. Luckily, I've got enough that came back. I got 40 here. I got 40 results, and I've got 10. So I know these are good comps. I know that the auto comp generated, and feel free to compare them. Again, our auto comp uses AI to do all this stuff for you. So you don't have to come in and apply those filters to narrow it down. You're not going to miss anything in our auto comp, which is the nice thing. But if I wanted to get an ARV on this property, all I'd have to do is come in, go sort by price, highest to lowest, and I'm going to just move this over and I'm going to remove some of these older ones to where I get to, let's just say 4 properties. And now I've got an ARV. Even though the estimated value is 227,000 value that we create does not take into account anything visual that you can represent in comping the properties yourself. When I took those properties out and I was looking for the highest selling properties, I'm looking at the highest selling comparable properties to establish what is the average price per square foot. And then I get that calculation based on knowing this property is a 900 square foot property. Now, what makes this even better from all of every other offering that's out there in AutoComp, this property is a 3 bedroom, 1 bath, 900 square feet. What if I wanted to renovate this property? I might be going a little further than what some of you are capable of, but this is still something that you can do. I wanted to come in and say, what would this property be worth if I turned it into a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet? It's now going to rerun the comps based on those new characteristics to give you the best properties that match the new dimensions of what you've now created. So now I'm running comps off of all different data that's going to render a different ARV based on that. So I still got it sorted by highest to lowest, but now I'm going to go in again, find, obviously, if I'm renovating it to that degree, it's going to be ARV quality. So now I got 290,000. So I went from 247 without any renovations to now 290,000 with some renovations. So now you're going to have to equate the cost of renovation to get there. Am I going to make more money or am I going to lose money because it's going to cost me more to make it into that property? So we give you all the tools to really help you with those decisions. All right, I'm sure I've literally exploded a lot of people's minds. I've talked for an hour. I'm happy to take questions. ARV stands for after repair value. So when you're running comps, ARV is all about what could it be if it was fixed up, right? Current value is what you're trying to get it valued at to buy right now. But when you do a wholesale deal, right? When you come into this calculator and you do your numbers, this valuation here is what you're trying to put in. What could this be worth if whoever buys it from me fixed it up and then sold it, right? What could that value be right now? And that's what you're coming up with. You're coming up with that number. Hey, if you fix this thing up to be an after repair value quality, meaning that you've done all the work that you need to do to get to this quality of work. And remember that value when you run it yourself, you can look at the photos and determine all those photos the same as quality of what you're going to produce out of it. So if the photos are like gold, chandeliers, diamonds, and solid gold floors, and that investor's not going to do that quality of work, you're going to have to change the ARV. But that's the stuff that you find out, like of really what effort they're going to put in. You're determining. You're determining based on who you're talking to.
All right.
All right.
So Tyler, I just want to thank you. I know you exploded your guys' mind. Tyler, if somebody has questions about so could they email you?
Yeah, no. So we have the support throughout the whole system. So all you have to do is come down. You can chat with an expert, and it'll open up our chat engine to allow you to talk to a support specialist. We also have our Get Help button here, where you could actually come in and you can get a hold of us. You could go through walkthroughs. You can get guided experiences. We've got video trainings. Me personally, you can't email, but what you can do is email our support. You can call our support. We offer chat, email, and phone support. We have crazy hours. We go from 6 a.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern. So it's 12 hours of support that you guys can get.
Perfect. All right. So guys, if you want to sign up for this, it's duruleads.com. You get a 7-day free trial. All right. This means that you can implement what you're learning doing this by just signing up at duruleads.com for a 7-day free trial. I put the link in there. Now, I believe after the first month, if you decide to sign up, it's like $99 a month, $97 a month. I have it. We use it every day in my business with wholesale deals, and yeah. So if you're interested in it, check it out. But I definitely want you to get the free version. So I want for that what you learned during this challenge, you can implement. Okay, so guys, what I'm gonna do at this point, I'm gonna bring my co-host Michael Tucker back on. Tyler, thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime,
Uh,
man. Feel free.
all right, no problem. And what I would like for you to do, all right, guys, remember we have homework. We have homework, and our homework is we're gonna call our local code enforcement office. We're gonna find them and give them a call to see if you can get that information online in the tax assessors. And once you find out, go into the Facebook group and let us know if they offer it online. Tomorrow we'll be going more detailed in the cash buyers and filling out the contract. Hey, Mike, could you bring us home?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, y'all. So be here tomorrow, the final day. If you're going to be here and you're going to end this thing out strong, just go ahead and put a me in the chat. I see we're 60 strong, plus everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube. Put me in the chat if you're going to take this to the finish line, y'all. Listen, this is what I want to say. Wholesaling real estate is simple. I'm going to be honest, y'all. It is a simple process. Now, did I say it's easy? No, I didn't say it's easy, but it's simple. And what I want you all to do is I want you all, actually, let me tell you what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to overcomplicate this. Tyler, Nas, they've been giving you the game on what you need to do. Don't overcomplicate this. What happens is I see so many people, they try to make it more complicated than it needs to be. This is really simple. Find a motivated seller, get it under contract, assign it to a cash buyer. That's it. Find somebody who needs a property. Listen, y'all, I'm going to tell you in a really, really quick nutshell. What I've often done is I'll go and whenever I first was starting in real estate, I found investors who needed properties and they had certain buying criteria, which you're going to learn about tomorrow. And what I would do is now Nas teaches it a little different way, but this was me. I just went to my friends that were investors and I said, hey, what properties are you looking for? Hey, I'm looking for single families in this area. Okay, cool. I'd go and driving for dollars and start cold calling and start finding motivated sellers in these areas I knew my friends were already buying in. Looking for distressed properties, getting them under contract and taking them to my friends, my cash buyers, the people that I networked with. So don't overcomplicate this, y'all. Listen, it's simple. If you work the plan, you run the plays, I promise you, success is inevitable if you do the right actions over the right amount of time. Let me say that one more time. You do the right actions over the right amount of time, you're going to get your first property. It's just how long are you willing to take the actions? Because listen, it's boring. Nas will tell you there's some excitement in the game, but I'm gonna be honest, it's a numbers game. So you have to go through the numbers. How willing are you to commit and just go through the numbers, just run the play, run the scenarios, and not overthink it. So, listen, tomorrow be here in the room. We're going to talk about cash buyers. I just want to remind everybody, we are going to offer lifetime coaching tomorrow. I told you all at the very beginning, if you were here yesterday, we had a special opportunity for those people who stayed to the very end. So all cards on the table. We want to be open, honest, and transparent. We will be talking at the very end tomorrow how we're going to take about 5 to 10 people to get lifetime coaching with Nas, where we can coach you every single week. I'm sorry, every other week. You get all of our curriculum and it's lifetime. So you get your handheld. So just be here tomorrow. The homework, when you do your homework, post in the Facebook group, Kiana. Post in the Facebook group. So be here tomorrow. That's all I have, y'all. Thank you for being here for day 2 of the Real Estate Money Bootcamp. We'll see you tomorrow. Day number 3. Let's get it, y'all. Peace. See you, Nas. See you,
Peace.
Tyler. Thank you, guys.